Welcome to Pulp Mythos. I'm Brian here with Larry and Spencer, and yes, we are discussing Only Murders in the Building, episode number 9. So what an episode! Big, massive reveal at the end that poses a lot of questions. That being Jan. We find that in Tim Kono's adult toys box, a bassoon cleaner, and we know that Tim was in some kind of relationship with someone. And everything's pointing now at Jan. And what does that mean? Now, my only question mark, Larry, you were talking about how potentially she stabbed herself. You know, it was a wound that you could survive. But the note, that's where I'm getting the note and the poisoning. There hasn't been anything yet that has pointed that she has access to poisons or whatever. And I'm only bringing that up in the sense of a murder mystery. Usually you plant hints at things like that. And then the note that was on her door. Now she could have easily put that note on her own door, and or she could have poisons. I don't know. Am I saying she's the killer? Possibly. Am I saying there's someone else and there's something else going on as well? That's what I'm alluding to. What do you guys think about the Jan revelation? And is there someone else, or is it all Jan? What do you think?
Well, you go back into and we've mentioned it before, and they have in the show too, that it doesn't seem that it's one person. So the I'm watching you could be somebody saying, hey, I see that you're getting close to Charles. I see that, you're kind of veering off the track that we originally put in place. So the note could be an indicator that they're seeing that she may be outing them, or she may be not holding on to information as tightly as she should be. So it could be somebody else put the note there, whoever it is that she was working with. The poison too, a lot of things can be poison. I can use Drano and poison people. That doesn't mean that it's, I went to an apothecary and bought arsenic. Like, it's one of those things where there's a lot of different things that could be poison that she could have access to. I would be interested to see if it's something that she cleans her bassoon with. So like whatever the cleaning product is, if it's something like that. I don't know what the poison is just yet, so I am very interested to see what that is. But I do think that she is involved somehow. And we mentioned that before too, because she kept trying to steer them in a different direction. So, and her suddenly forming a relationship with Charles, those kind of seemed like suspicious behavior. But I am kind of curious to see as to why or who else she's involved with.
Yeah, that's a good question, because that's the one thing I couldn't piece together, because when she saw that note, it seemed like genuine surprise, like she was actually being threatened in that moment.
Yeah.
Why else would she react that way? Because there was no one else there with her. So that's the one thing I couldn't piece together. There's got to be someone else involved. And I thought, originally I thought, okay, someone's blackmailing her and, having her feed them information. But now that we've established that, she's likely the killer or involved, okay, like Spencer said, maybe someone else was involved in this murder as well, or helped her, cover things up and is threatening her to keep quiet. Because I didn't think she was involved at first until the episode happened. But now that we know she is, I'm curious whether there is another person, or if, like you were saying earlier, it's just her. So it's hard to say, but I'm leaning towards there's someone else, in the idea of there being someone else involved somehow.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great moment. We learned that, a lot of the things she tells Charles were a lie in terms of where her positioning as this bassoon player, obviously the bassoon cleaner, the big shocking moment there. And like you said, that knife wound, that she could have done that herself. She was trying to throw him off the case. There's a lot of little things about the character now. And if you go back to she's been around since the very beginning in one way or another. So it's interesting. There's only one episode left, and they already had I think it's only like 33 minutes. So we already know, it's not like a double episode or anything. So they're going to wrap, I'm assuming they're going to wrap this story up. We know we're getting a second season, so perhaps there is a cliffhanger ending. I don't know, but Yeah, it is interesting. The one who got so close to Charles is possibly completely involved in the murder. And also, I mean, shit, go back to the first big revelation of the show when we learned Mabel knew Tim Kono. Like that was a big shocking moment, and now potentially so does Jan. So Tim got around, man. I have to bring up every week I'm like, oh, this is a great new character. That's a great new character. They're constantly introducing just amazing characters. I think they topped themselves with just Saz Pataki. Jane
Yeah.
Lynch comes in as Brazos' stunt double. We
Dude.
learn, I mean, my God, amazing. Absolutely amazing. We learned that she ended up, he was in a relationship with, I guess, an actress or somebody, and, they left him, and Saz was dating them for like 20 years, didn't she say?
Yeah, 20 years.
And then they
Yeah,
ended up
Cookie
leaving
just
her.
left her.
Yeah. And we get a lot of stuff with her and her talking about being the stunt man, a lot of jokes. The greatest, like, yet again, such great lines where she even had to double him for his sex scenes because he is he moves in an unnatural motion. Like, I couldn't stop laughing. Like, but yeah, just Saz. What do y'all? Yeah,
Well, yeah, that and the whole Tilda Swinton thing, the fact that she got an audition as a stunt double for Tilda Swinton, and she's like, "Yeah,
yes,
you guys got the same like hip structure and everything, you know." And Saz was hilarious this episode. Like I said, they're really good about those guests. I don't know if they come in and help write their own parts because there's a lot of like people who are comedians to some degree involved in this show. Like, but yeah, that was incredible, and and it's great that they can add new characters this late in the show and still keep it interesting and not make it feel like because a lot of shows you get a character at this point, we're right before the last episode. It feels kind of out of place because you're like, we should be wrapping things up now. Or are you adding in new people? But yeah, very good performance.
Yeah, it's everything about it. The walking the gate and talking about how they're they have a similar stature, and like you said, the bone structure. The fact that Jane Lynch kept fixing her glasses the same way at the same time.
yes,
That was fantastic. And when Mabel, Selena Gomez walked around a corner and she's like, "Oh fuck!" Like the surprise and everything. It was dressing the same. The fact that Saz still dressed like Brazos from the show, dude, it was fantastic that was still a thing.
Yeah, and I love the scene where she's giving him the pep talk and everything, and insulting his depression omelet, and at the same time stealing it, and eating his food, and it was one of those things that just kind of showed how much he's one upped by his own stunt double, and it was just a hilarious dynamic.
It was a moment where I'm like, yeah, Jane Lynch and Steve Martin could totally have a series, just them two, like like an Odd Couple or something, just them hanging out, you know. Yeah, great. Speaking of couple, Oscar and Mabel, they're legit. They're a couple, and it's going to be interesting, especially going into a season two, how that carries over, or if it carries over. How their relationship. There's the great moment where Martin Short has to stay at her apartment, and there's like no walls, and he's just like, "You two don't do nothing while I'm here." She's like, "Oh yeah, we're definitely in the mood." Just staring at him while he's on the couch, and when he wakes up, if you get over 30, hell, sleeping on a couch and then getting up, like every moan he made and every movement he made, it's like, yep.
Felt way too real.
But yeah, Oscar
right on the couch, spending that on a couch and then moving like that is a feat all into itself.
Yeah. Oscar has some, as usual. Oscar has some very good scenes. I even like the scene with Oscar and Saz where he confuses Saz, for Steve Martin's character and everything. Like a little cheesy, the idea that he would confuse them, like up right in her face and everything, but the lines were hilarious and it worked out.
We get the eviction. So the people in the building are getting frustrated about the podcast. They're having issues with business because this is basically becoming the murder building, and so they're going to kick them all out of their apartments. They already kicked out Oliver, but when Oliver he's trying to sell tie-dye guy merch. Like,
well, that he's wearing the hoodie and everything.
yes.
Yeah.
And it's got only murders in the building on the front. I was like, oh, I hope they sell those. But
that, as much as like I want to say that it might not be. I think that when you look at what's her face, Jan and Bunny, maybe that they're somehow in this together because no one liked him. Jan's not losing her building now, suddenly, or not losing her apartment, and she's not involved in the podcast per se, but Oscar's family's not affected by this. There's a lot of people who are involved in the podcast who aren't being directly threatened with eviction. However, Charles and Oliver and Mabel are all being threatened, and Jan being involved in this way makes it feel like it's tied to the building itself.
That's so weird. I was actually about to say the same thing. In fact, I was gonna mention the fact that with the way that the reasoning that she gave for wanting to kick them out and everything and to keep things quiet would also be a reason that like someone might put a note on Jan's door about keeping quiet about not stirring up drama or leading them in the right direction. Because she doesn't want murder investigations around the building. She doesn't want these things to be exposed to drop the value of the building or anything. Like, and there's very few other people with the level of motive that she have that would be actively working with Jan on this. So yeah, that was actually my thought too, that she's the other person involved. She's the one threatening Jan that she knows.
Yeah, that's a greit theory. I mean, Bunny there's even a line where they're like, well, maybe it's Bunny. She's trying to, get rid of us or whatever. It could be legit. And like you said, nobody liked him. They had so many issues. Who has access to all these apartments? Who can get in and out and do what's being done? It would be her. Who probably is well aware of Teddy's operation. Maybe even gets a cut. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's a great theory. Do you think there's going to be any surprises with Oscar? Okay, him and Mabel are together. It's great. He, dressing as, got dressed up, is going for I think a job interview. Do you think there's something that's going to happen? I don't know. I just got a bad feeling with that whole scene.
When we're talking about, you just mentioned who has access to everybody's apartment.
His dad.
To everybody's apartment. So Oscar may be involved in this as well. And I don't mean that he's killing people, but he could be involved in trying to cover it up because he's trying to protect his dad or something like that too.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Like I felt something off with Oscar, but I didn't even remember about his dad.
That's a good point, because I was thinking, like, where are we going with this Oscar story? Yeah. I never suspected, but yeah, that's a possibility.
I mean, yeah, there's one left. When the series started, we had the flash of Mabel in front of a dead body, and it was nighttime, and they were like panicking, and then it sort of cut away. We also had sort of that idea that stuff's going to go really bad because we had the Tina Fey doing the podcast. She had like taken the podcast herself and was telling this story. So they've alluded in the beginning of the series that shit's not going to go great or something's going to happen. Do you think we're straight up cliffhanger ending, no resolution, or does this storyline get resolved? And would it matter to you? That's a better question. If they don't resolve this storyline and it's still left hanging, will that bother you that we have to wait for a second season, or would you prefer them wrap up this story and then maybe set up another one?
I think kind of like they did with Perry Mason, they tied up the story to where if they didn't get a second season, you weren't going to be super mad. but you were also intrigued because now you're like, I want to get more from these characters. I'm to the point now where I want to get more from these characters, regardless of the reason why or what's going on, or even like Larry has mentioned before, bringing in the yard dogs back in. There's a lot of ways to, I think, give us more content without drawing this particular storyline out. However, if they do leave us kind of cliffhanger, I wouldn't be mad because I already know we're getting a second season. So I would like to see them explore another storyline, but I wouldn't be mad if they gave us more of this storyline either, because it's only been 10 episodes. It hasn't been, 23 episodes in and we're like, fuck, quit drawing it out. It's only been 10. So if they drew it out longer, I wouldn't be mad, but I would like to see them kind of tackle a new story and see where they go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. But if it's continuing from this one, my guess would be, because you both mentioned earlier that, that Bunny and, Oscar's dad may have access to everybody's apartments. It could be that this ends with them being framed for the murder because, while they're at their apartments, it'd be easy to set up evidence that they've done something, or maybe they don't solve it in time. And, Bunny goes in there and places evidence in their apartment and then calls the cops, after quote unquote finding something. But who do you think the body was that Mabel was looking over is the question.
I never went back and looked, and I kept meaning to. I don't know.
Well, they do show, like in the trailer, there's a scene where she is jumping on top of somebody, and we've seen now that was Oscar. When it wasn't just her dream, like she wasn't just a vision. She attacked Oscar because she didn't know that's who was following her. But they haven't shown the scene that you're talking about, where it's like nighttime, and so I am very curious as to who it's going to be.
Yeah, and
it's going to be Oscar again, but
it could be. One left. Whew. Yeah, but like I say, at least we're getting a second season. I don't have anything else. Anything else regarding this second to last episode of Only Murders in the Building?
Well, I'm just curious, like the pictures that Mabel's painting and everything from the intro credits, has that been happening the whole show? Am I just noticing that, or
No, I just noticed it this episode. They established she's an artist before, but as far as the mural she's doing,
I think the mural thing is new, but just like there was the episode where it was basically played through her drawings. When she went back and she was sitting as a kid meeting Tim Kono for the first time, that was all done through her drawings, if I remember correctly. So I think that they've always established it, but I think the mural itself is a new thing, but I think it's just a carryover. I don't know that it's going to be important, at least plot wise.
It's everything. That'll be the big reveal. Mabel killed Tim. But yeah, one left, man. But anything else?
No, I don't have anything.
That's it for me. I'm just, I'm curious, other than I feel like there's going to be another twist other than the whole Jan thing. Like,
yeah,
like you're saying that there's more to it. There's somebody else involved.
Well, if you want to hear us talk about that, you can tune in next week for the season 1 finale of Only Murders in the Building review here on Pulp Mythos. If you've not hit the sub button yet, please do so. Leave a comment, leave a like, check out some of the other stuff. We are reviewing Big Sky every week, and we will see y'all next time.
Bye.